feel so out of line every time that you call my name. I want to make your move.
Peggy 18.
In your atoms pack, you will find 7 orbital bones to form a realistic and correctly sized 1-to-1 bony orbit. This is the frontal bone. The 2 main articulations you'll find on this bone are posterior and will articulate with the sphenoid bone using magnets we've installed into these models. This is the maxillary bone. You can tell by the teeth sockets. There are 4 articulating surfaces. This one will articulate with the zygomatic bone, this one with the frontal bone, this surface with the ethmoid bone, and finally the palatine bone. This is the sphenoid bone, one of the heavier bones in our set. You can tell by looking at the varus foramina and its early resemblance of the anterior cranial fossa. This will articulate primarily with the frontal bone, as well as an attachment at the bottom for the palatine bone. This is the palatine bone. It has a slightly tricky positioning and it attaches to the bottom of our models with 2 articulations with the sphenoid bone and the maxillary bone. This is the zygomatic bone. It will attach to the frontal bone via the frontal process and the maxillary bone via the maxillary process. It is characteristically Y-shaped, so look out for that when building your model. This is the ethmoid bone, which just looks odd. However, it will form the bulk of the medial orbital wall and attaches to the frontal and maxillary bones. Finally, but not last, we have this tiny little thing which is the lacrimal bone, and it will primarily attach to the maxillary bone. To get started building your personal orbital model, begin by constructing the lateral wall of the orbit by using the maxillary bone as your base. Attach the zygomatic bone to the maxillary bone via the flat surface with the 2 large magnets. Then grab the frontal bone and place it on top of the preliminary model to form the bulk of the roof of the orbital wall. You should now have something that is starting to resemble an orbit and will be able to visualize the orbital rim. Now let's build the medial wall by grabbing the ethmoid bone. This bone has a sharp edge that acts like an arrow and points posteriorly into the orbital wall. This bone will articulate with both the frontal and maxillary bone and slot gently to form the medial wall. Complete the medial wall by placing the lacrimal bone, which will attach to the maxillary bone. Take care, as it is only one attachment and can easily fall off the model. Complete the floor of the orbit by inserting the palatine bone, which, as we mentioned before, is both oddly shaped and tricky to insert, but its 2 processes should end up attaching well to the maxillary and sphenoid bones. Finally, complete the whole orbital model by attaching the heaviest bone in our set, which is the sphenoid bone. This will complete your orbital roof, medial wall, and the lateral wall. Take care to ensure all attaches properly to the frontal bone, ethmoid bone, and the palatine bone, and take care of your orbital model